Good morning, Flock Squawk Nation. It is October 4th, 2021. Yesterday, we had arguably the most convincing win of the entire 2021 season so far. The Baltimore Ravens go to Mile High Stadium, play the Denver Broncos, and come out with a 23-7 win and improve their record to 3-1 among the tops in the AFC. Excellent game. We broke, actually, a couple NFL records were broken today. Justin Tucker, he made 300 career field goals in 148 games, which is the fastest in NFL history. Good for Justin Tucker.
Yeah, back-to-back breaking records.
So he'll probably stay as a 99 rating in Madden.
Yeah, definitely.
Might as well.
Yeah.
So there was that. And then the other record that was tied today, not broken, tied, excuse me, 44 consecutive games of 100-plus rushing yards in NFL history. Yep. We are currently tied with the 1974-1977 Pittsburgh Steelers, back in the days where running was probably not your first option in an offense, or was your first option in the offense as opposed to passing, excuse me. So, Chad, we're going to go to you first. How'd you feel about the game? What were some of the things that stood out for you? We're at the pretty much the quarter mark for the season. So, was there anything that we have a large enough sample size? Is there anything that you looked at this week and thought, wow, like this is something that is going to continue on to the rest of the season and we're going to be just as dominant? What were your thoughts about the game in general?
Yeah, I would say my first thought is that this is the first win of more than, a point or two, So like you said, the most dominant win so far. And it came against a undefeated team in their stadium and a team that has a really good defense. And again, back-to-back weeks, we had to show off Lamar's passing skills to, dominate this game versus running the ball. And he showed up, and I don't know how any of these haters or whoever are going to be saying that Lamar can't throw the ball, man. He went over 300 passing yards yesterday. So that's the three biggest takeaways for me. And I'm really excited, especially like I said last week, we still aren't even close to 80 or 90% health. We still got Nick Boyle to come back. We still have Rashad Bateman, Boykin. We still have Derek Wolfe. We were missing Deshaun Elliott this week. Like, there's a lot of people that are, waiting in the training rooms to get healthy for our continued, run this season.
Yeah, and that's something that's really interesting that you brought up with Lamar, right? So the whole narrative with Lamar is sort of like, okay, well, you don't want to be the coach that's seen as not covering the run with Lamar, so you're just going to have to force him to make throws. You're going to have to force him to throw the ball because apparently that's what his weakness is, right?
Right.
He torched Denver yesterday. Yeah. Torched them. Brad, I believe he had 5 different receivers whose average catch was over 10 yards.
Right.
Per catch. I mean, that just shows a well-rounded offense. Brad, what do you think? Was there anything that jumped out to you besides the passing game? Because we're going to get into that a little bit later in the pod. I want to focus. We usually focus exclusively on Lamar because he's usually the most criticized player on our team. But was there anything else that jumped out to you besides just the passing game?
Our protection was pretty good, which then leads to our passing game being good. I mean, we already down Stanley. Villanueva is on the left side, which he's used to being on the left side anyways, but he's taking over Stanley's spot. He goes out at halftime, after halftime, and then what's his name? What's his name comes in?
Smith.
Andre Smith?
Yeah, Smith comes in, and I mean, besides that one penalty that he got for the face mask on that fake run that was a touchdown to
Andrews,
to start the fourth quarter. Other than that, I mean, the man played pretty well, and we were able to adjust for that. Like we spoke before we got on. they were chipping them with like a tight end or a running back. So we were able to make do with another injury, which was, I mean, I guess we're just used to that. So that's awesome. So I guess it's a new Ravens thing. If someone goes down, we don't really worry about it. We just keep going. But our run defense was not the best. This is the first game that we ended up allowing 100-yard rushing team. It wasn't that far over. I think they got like 104, 114 or something like that. But with Bridgewater going out, I think that really changed it. I feel like they were probably going to put a lot more numbers on us. But once they got Locke in there, Locke wasn't really that comfortable, and it really made their offense stagnant. So our rush defense is, I think, like 8th in the league. But we looked a little iffy yesterday for whatever reason, and that's with our 4 defenders that came back. Except for I didn't see Ferguson. Was Ferguson in there?
No, he's still out. So he
Yeah,
must
he's
not have
still
been.
out.
He
So
must not have been vaccinated.
yeah, so but other than that, I mean, it was a good game. So the run defense was the only thing that I was really worried about. But everybody has their game, so we'll see what happens next week.
You know, it's funny you talk about the run defense because watching that game, it didn't even occur to me that Denver had ran for over 100 yards.
Right.
I was so focused on like how different that offense looks with Teddy Bridgewater as opposed to Drew Lock, right? Like, I don't
Yeah.
think Teddy Bridgewater, I don't think even if Teddy started and played the entire game, nothing in his stats indicate to me that he would have made a, like a significant impact on the game. I think he was 7 of 16, 60 something yards, 1 touchdown, no pick. It doesn't exactly, I'm not blown away by those numbers, but I just don't think, and this is a statement really on the Broncos, like, I don't think they have bought into Drew Lock as a quarterback.
Oh no, absolutely. I mean, half the fans I feel like booed when he came onto the field.
Well, no, yeah, and then the commentator was like a kind of a mixed reaction here from the crowd in Denver with Drew Lock coming out, and it's like, yeah, I don't think the team. I've seen nothing to indicate that Denver believes in that guy, and he didn't push the ball down the field at all. I mean,
Right.
Once Teddy went out, you could tell there was a significant change in that offense. Like,
Yeah.
and it's with a concussion injury, obviously you never want anybody to get injured on the field. And I'm a big proponent of that, and everyone should be a proponent of that. He is only going to be out. I mean, if it's concussion protocol, I believe he might miss next week against the Steelers, but so I don't think Denver's in too big of a hole, but it was definitely a game that showed that Denver may have gotten off to a hot start against some bad teams, and Baltimore, I think it showed they are for real. This is a for real, bona fide. I don't care how many injuries we have on either side of the ball. 3-1 record, and you go into Mile High, and they never really put up. There were some offenses that stalled, I guess, but offensive drives on our side that stalled and ended in field goals. But I saw nothing from Denver. And I don't know, a lot of it has to do with injuries. Jerry Jeudy wasn't out there. Deontay Spencer got laid out by Chuck Clark. Probably should have been a penalty. They lose their quarterback. They lose Patrick Surtain, who we're going to talk about him a little bit later. They lose him to injury. I don't think we can say that the injury bug is specifically a Ravens issue anymore. I think Denver is more decimated than we are. Now at this stage, right? Maybe not going into the game, but certainly after. Yikes! The Steelers might get their second win.
Yeah, and they were missing. Denver was missing a couple of linemen too. I remember seeing.
Yeah,
both their guards, right? Or was it their guards or their tackles? I think they were missing both their guards. I mean, I don't know, and especially in that I don't know, in that division, that's going to be pretty rough. Moving on from them, this isn't a Broncos podcast, but they're a very interesting team. I'd like to see where they go for the rest of the season. Chad, let's talk about defense, man. 7 points. That's it. They got 7 points in the second quarter, and after that, the Ravens scored 23 unanswered. how impressed were you with the defense? Was there anybody that stood out to you? Any performance that really drew your attention?
Yeah, I would say the biggest overall performance is our 5 sacks, our pass rush, man.
Good to see it again.
Yeah, good to see it again. Yeah, for sure. And Tyus Bowser having 2 of them. Yeah. That's the big deal right there, because I mean, he was a 3rd or 4th round pick 4 or 5 years ago, and he's been, I remember like year 3, I was like, man, he needs to break out, and he still didn't break out. Like, so hopefully, I mean, that's a good sign for Tyus, stepping up when he has a rookie Owe in front of him. So that's a good sign to see. Metabwigwe got 1, Houston got 1, the old man, and Owe got on that first offensive drive for Denver, got that sack.
Yeah, and then planted another flag. Should have been thrown against the Ravens. He planted Teddy Bridgewater into the deck. That was unbelievable.
It was, helmet to helmet caused them to get a concussion that we figured out after halftime. Yeah. But they missed that for sure. But and then let's see. Yeah, the sacks, holding them to 7 points, huge deal. And then I'd say with I think I saw Brandon Stevens and Jimmy Smith kind of like filling in the safety position.
Yeah, they did their best
for Deshaun being out. And I mean, there was no big play, not that many big plays, so I think they held up pretty good. Granted, Denver doesn't have their speedsters Hamler and Judy out there, but yes, and then so that's good, and it's great to see Jimmy Smith back. He came back last game, and he looked decent. He had 1 penalty last game, but he's looking. I'm glad to see him out there. He's looking good because he's one of our big guys back there. That sorry, pause. I don't know why Brad's laughing. He's driving me crazy.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, and I think Jimmy Smith and Brandon Stevens did a good job filling in for Deshaun Elliott for the day. Granted, I mean, we held them to 7 points. So pass rush and just defense overall really did a good job. And I'm happy to see that. And this Denver's offense isn't that high powered right now, especially with their losses at wide receiver, with KJ Hamler out and Jerry Judy out. So, but I mean, we handled business. I mean, we took care of business with them, and I'm looking forward. And then, sorry, I'll cut that out. But yeah, that's it. That's all I have to say about the defense.
Yeah, I mean,
I know you want to talk about our man 23.
Listen, so I'm a big Anthony Averett guy.
Yeah.
I think I liked him last year when there were some times where he got on the field and I was like, oh, wow, that guy made a nice play. Who's that guy? Anthony Averett. And then like a week or 2 later, he goes and he makes another big play. I'm like, oh, okay. So we're deep at corner, it seems. He came out. He got the last pick. He picks off Drew Lock in the end zone so we can go and tie up the rushing record there. Like, I thought it was all lost. I thought that was over. We didn't get the mark, and I was ready to move on, and I was ready to just say, all right, we'll start another streak, and that'll be that. And Anthony Averett comes up with a huge pick. He covered Cortland Sutton for a lot of this game and did pretty effective. I know that Teddy getting injured is a huge asterisk in this game. Absolutely. And Drew Lock ended up coming in, and then there was a lot of dinking and dunking where I don't think, and that's why I don't have faith in Drew Lock leading a team. But at the same time, when Teddy was in, again, it's not like he blew the world away with his passing either in this game. And Anthony Averett just completely covered up. Owe is making a really strong case for defensive rookie of the year, I think.
Yeah.
This guy, everybody was down on him during the draft, and week after week, he seems to be making some play or another that influences the direction of the game.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
And I mean, if Bateman has similar production on the offensive side of the ball, the way Owe has had on the defensive side of the ball, I think we once again have nailed a draft. I mean, he has outperformed expectations, I think, and I am stoked to have him because I think he dramatically improves a pass rush that I said last year just was non-existent. I think it's here now. I like what I've seen out of Justin Houston.
Yep.
I like that pickup. And again, like Marcus Peters is hurt, people. Marcus Peters is hurt. He is not in our defense.
Mm-hmm.
And to put on a performance like that yesterday, I was stoked. I was really impressed by that. I'm a big defense guy in general, but
same.
Moving on to offense, Brad.
Yo.
Last week,
Yep.
I wasn't happy about it, but I took Marquis Brown to task. And Marquis Brown, somewhere, wherever he was, he heard our podcast and he thought, you know what? I got to step it up this week. I cannot have Ben, Brad, and Chad talking about me like this. So he has 4 catches, 91 yards, and a touchdown. Beautiful 49-yard layout. He was all over the place today. He had a great game. You want to go further into just his performance, and then the wide receivers in general? Because they all ended up balling out this week.
Yeah, they all did. I mean, Lamar stepped up with like I said, with the protection, giving him the ability to stand in that pocket and find the person and allow our receivers to get open, which was nice. But yeah, Marquis Brown came in. It was 4 for 5 for 91 yards, I believe, and that 1 touchdown for 49 yards, which is I think the longest play. Like the way they said was like the ball traveled like 69 yards in the air from where he threw it and where he caught it, which is like the longest play of Lamar's career when it comes to a passing touchdown and of the season for the NFL, which is pretty tight. But yeah, after talking all that shit about Marquise, man stepped up. It was awesome. He could have had that second breakout touchdown in the same quarter. But he got tripped up by Jackson on the other side. Definitely a touchdown saving tackle because there was nobody else behind him. He caught it right in the middle of coverage and just tried to be a speedster on the right side and got tripped up. But that layout was awesome. Put his body on the line and came down with it. I honestly, just because of how much I dislike watching him, didn't think he was going to make it, but he did. So it was awesome.
And go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're cool. Everybody else stepped up too. Like Prochet came in, got 74 yards off of 5 catches, had a huge 32-yard catch down the left side. Andrews, of course, 5 for 67. Watkins, 4 for 49. Duvernay even came in, and he was averaging over 10 yards, 3 for 31. But I think Prochet really stepped up yesterday. He is a powerful dude. I didn't notice how strong this man was. He's catching a ball and then just plows those legs into the ground and just pushes through people, getting that first down. So yesterday looked really good. A lot of those, like you said, obviously it's for 10 yards or more. But even the shorter ones, they were getting open to make sure that we got the first down. Wasn't happening on third down too often because you know how we are on third down.
Right.
But we looked really good when it comes to receiving and the passing game yesterday, and I was pretty impressed. So Lamar Jackson with 316 yards, which I think is his second highest game ever. His only other game is like 324, I believe.
I think that was Miami, week 1 of 2019, where he just started throwing bombs all over the place.
Yeah.
And that was his MVP year. So I mean, he stepped up every single game. He stepped up. He started out like 230, went 235, then he went 270, 280, and now he's at 316. So he's stepping up. He's got a touchdown every single game throwing. So sky's the limit. With our passing game, especially when Bateman comes in, we're just going to get that much better, and Boykin. So I'm pretty.
I know that's been a theme on this pod. Like I've noticed, it's not just you saying it too. I'm always finding myself being like, oh man, I can't wait till Bateman's back. Gosh, our offense is going to look so much more. We're going to have a little more dynamic of an offense. The Prochet catch where he goes for the 32 yards, I don't know. I was watching the broadcast and you actually see him in the screen get open.
Right.
And I'm staring at him and I'm just like, because you see the defense get dragged to the right. You see all these, and then you just see James Prochet like heading up to the left, and I'm like, is he as open as I think he is? I'm like, he looks wide open. And
Right.
I'm like, Lamar, do you see what I'm seeing, man? And Lamar turns and he's like, yep, I see that. And he just throws it right to him. I'm like, in the broadcast, I was trying to keep it in because I'm like, oh man, like if he completes this is a big play, but if he misses it, I'm gonna be that's an obvious miss for Lamar not seeing it.
Right.
But he saw it, delivered the ball. And James Prochet, 5 catches, 74 yards. My man, the man who I did not think was going to be on this team in the preseason, stepped up, balled out. Obviously, some injury things went, one way or another in his favor. Balls out, gets a roster spot, and now look at him. Like, get him in. He's just as fast as Marquis Brown, maybe. The way I saw him take off and run, I'm like, maybe mix him in the offense a little bit more. Devin Duvernay had a punt return for 42 yards. That was pretty huge. A nice special teams hit there. Like I said, this is the most complete game I've seen. And then the stats back it up. Lamar goes, like you said, he throws for 316 yards, 22 of 37. I like that he didn't throw any interceptions because the first couple of weeks, I think he wasn't securing the ball as much. Mm-hmm. I saw him secure the ball a lot more when he was going on runs. He had one play where, I think it was a 3rd and 6, and Denver just sends the house on him. And he immediately picked it up and he was like, all right, I'm going to run the ball. Like, this is a pass play, but I've got Von Miller on one side and another pass rusher on the other side, basically collapse in the pocket. I'm getting the F out of here. Mm-hmm. And he just he takes off and he picks up the first down. So he looks so much better than he did last year. And I would even argue, as far as his passing is concerned, he might even look better passing the ball than he did in his 2019 season. I think the 2019 season was a breakout. Defensive coordinators were going, holy shit, I have never seen anything like this before. Players weren't accustomed to Lamar's speed running the football during the 2019 season. And a lot of that, we took advantage of that. We win 12 straight games, go to the playoffs. This season, it feels like, the past 2 games where we have a backup running back for him, essentially, right? So a lot has to be put on Lamar's shoulders to convert a lot of those 3rd downs that you were talking about. And he's hit, I just don't have any fear of him throwing the football. And all these teams who game plan and they say, oh, well, you got to force him to throw the ball. He's doing that better than he has in any of his 3 seasons starting, throwing the football. That's my personal opinion. Chad, what do you think about that? Do you think I'm like completely off base for that, or?
Not at all, man. He's each year he's been, leaps and bounds improving in different areas. And this year you can really see it. His passing he's killing it. He's doing good.
Think another thing that
people can know, I don't think people can no longer say that if you stop the run, you can figure out Lamar.
So the thing that we haven't really talked about on this pod too much is Lamar Jackson's in a contract year. So he's playing for a contract right now. There was obviously the hoopla in the preseason about his mom being his agent, and he's not worried about a contract. He's focused on football. That certainly seems to have played out this season. But I do think, we saw it with Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco went into a contract year where he knew he was going to get paid some big money if he performed well. He wins the Super Bowl, and lo and behold, there's a giant contract waiting for Joe Flacco. So I think that plays a lot into Lamar's success this year as well. I mean, the guy is he's trying to get his bag.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's definitely well on his way to doing that. So that's just something that we also need to think about when we talk about Lamar. He's thrown 3 picks this year.
Fumbled twice.
Yeah, fumbled. Well, but I saw him. It looked like he cleaned that up though in the Broncos game yesterday. It just seemed like he wasn't.
Well, yeah, he had no turnovers yesterday, so it's the first game with no turnovers.
Right. So what this leads me into, we're gonna grade Lamar Jackson so far through the first, quarter of the season. I wish things would just be even numbers. It makes it so much easier. This extra game in the NFL, I could go on a whole separate rant about how it's really messing with my perceptions on things, but we're pretty much through the quarter-way mark of the season. He's playing better and better every game. If you had to give him a grade right now for the first quarter, A to F. We'll start with you, Brad. Give me a grade for Lamar Jackson so far.
I give him a B+, not necessarily an A yet, just because of the 3 fumbles in the first game, 2 interceptions in the next game, 1 going for 6. He fumbled actually in the next game too. I don't remember if we lost it or not, but he did end up fumbling the ball. I mean, he did great yesterday, but I would have to say probably like a B+.
Okay.
Just mainly because of decisions when it comes to just protecting the ball, and then just those simple interceptions that he's throwing. Just a lot of them. Just besides that one that Watkins falls on, they just shouldn't have never been thrown. It's bad decision making. But yeah, I mean, it is Lamar Jackson, so I'm sure he'll definitely pick it up. But I'd say a B+ for right now.
Gotcha. Chad, what's your grade?
Yeah, I'd probably agree with Brad. I'd say B+, just because he lost his fumbles, lost us the first game in overtime to Las Vegas. He has thrown a couple crazy interceptions, but he has also, put the team on his back in a lot of these wins. Without Lamar, we wouldn't have won any. Besides this past game where our team overall dominated Denver. If it wasn't for him against Kansas City, if it wasn't for him against Detroit, and plus the leg of Tucker, we would be, 0-4, 0-3, 1-3. Like, so he's a difference maker for sure, and he's on. I mean, he's in when it comes to stats. He's on pace to throw for over 4,000 yards and rush for over 1,000 yards. And that's even if you take that extra game out, he's still on pace to do that, which would be in a historic. I think it would be the first time anybody's done it. No one's
ever thrown for 4,000 yards and
rushed for 1,000. Yeah,
that would be insane.
He's on pace. He's on pace for that, and we'll see. Like he could. I mean, I'd really like to see from in the next quarter. Like, so the next 4 games after that, like, when it comes to the MVP conversation, because he's definitely he's on pace to be a part of that right now.
Yeah, especially since Matt Stafford lost this weekend too. I thought he was a runaway, but now,
Yeah, it's between him, Derek Carr, Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's probably the front runner right now, because they're 4-0.
Yeah,
but it's crazy. Even Lamar has thrown more than Kyler Murray.
And that's
which is wild to me.
All the opportunities missed with
the drop passes and all kinds of stuff.
Drop passes. Not only that, but then he had that touchdown taken away yesterday for another 40 yards and
with that
touchdown. Like,
that face mask.
There's a lot of stuff that the stats don't show that Lamar has been doing. So
I think
clean all that up will be. I mean, he's going to just look that much more better.
I think B+ is a fair grade, though. I mean, if you look at, because I'm also taking into account like quality of opponent too. Because when we go and break down the AFC North, I'm going to have some things to say on that might be favorable to teams other than the Baltimore Ravens. But so they lose to Las Vegas in overtime, right? I don't think that's a bad loss per se. They beat Kansas City at home, got that monkey off his back. They go to Detroit. They beat Detroit, which I think there's enough evidence to suggest that maybe Detroit isn't they're not a good team. They're still a bad team, but they're probably not as bad as we thought they were going into the season. And then Denver, who started the season 3-0, they're not a bad team either because they beat up on all these other bad teams that are, I don't know what their record was, but they were 0-9 coming into this week. Denver could still be a bad team, lose those games, and we have a different impression of that Denver game.
Yeah.
But Denver is still, I mean, their defense is one of the better defenses in the league. Again, maybe you chalk that up to playing 3 teams who went 0-9 and you don't really have a good feel on their defense yet. But it's encouraging that we can go on the road and win games in a variety of ways.
Yeah.
And a lot of that has to do with Lamar's throwing. And now I think it's dramatically improved. I'll give him a B+ too, because I don't like the fumbles. And I think he could protect himself a little better this year. He's been the most hit quarterback by far this season. So I'll give him a B+ as well. I think that's a solid grade. I think we can all agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on real quick. Let's do the AFC North. We're a quarter of the way through the season, and this is exciting because for once, it seems like the Steelers are in complete free fall and everybody else is sort of moving right along or moving up in the case of the Cincinnati Bengals. So let's just do a quick rundown of the division real quick. Once I get it up here, is there anything you guys want to talk about for the Denver game while I pull up the schedules here? Was there anything that we missed?
One thing I wanted to bring up that I forgot to mention when we were talking about the defense is our tackling is still pretty suspect.
Oh.
Like, especially, I mean, that one that the rookie Williams had, he broke it was a hell of a.
That was insane. He was dragging Marlon Humphrey along.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit! I have him on on 2 of my fantasy teams, and I started him, and I was like, I'm really pissed. But if he continues to drag Marlon Humphrey into the end zone, I mean, I was like, what the hell's like? Yeah, it was crazy.
I didn't know what, because he bounced off a couple tackles before that, right?
He did like a spin move, like the line was all clogged up.
Yeah.
Spun around. He got past. He broke some tackle. Then he broke another tackle, and then Marlon Humphrey. He was trying to do his punch thing, which is cool because he's like a pro at it. So I'm not gonna hate on him for trying to punch the ball out versus getting a tackle. But I was surprised at how far he dragged Marlon Humphrey. Like, like 15, 20 yards.
Yeah, it was insane.
Not only Marlon Humphreys, but he also had Averett on his back.
Yeah, Averett too was back there. But I mean, and then I was at my brother's house and we were just talking about that Kelsey catch and run in the Kansas City game where no one could tackle that whole game against Kansas City. And then last week with, some of the running plays with their running backs, like we couldn't tackle. So it seems like it's a theme. Like if the pass rush has been stepping up, but the tackling is just like suspect right now.
And it's been suspect for the past couple of years too.
Yeah.
I mean, but is that one of those things where you can compartmentalize it and be like, that thing happened on that one drive? I don't know.
Yesterday was just like it was like the first half a little bit.
Right.
It wasn't, I mean, and specifically that drive they got the touchdown on.
Yeah, I saw some hits yesterday from the Ravens where I was like,
they stepped up. So that's the only thing I wanted to talk about. That was that one, because that was a great run for Williams, the rookie.
Yeah, it was.
It was an awesome run.
Yeah.
Brad, do you have anything?
No, not really. I mean,
Okay.
all around it was just a good game. Obviously, Justin Tucker's amazing.
Yeah,
doesn't miss
3 field goals yesterday.
Yeah, but no, just a couple of missed opportunities again, but from the game that we played against Detroit, total turnaround. So it was awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Yeah, right. Yeah. No, I'm with you. This was, like I said, this is the best win of the season by far. Here we go. I got the AFC North up. And I think obviously these 3 teams here are 3-1. So they do this by, it doesn't really say really. So we've got I thought they were ordered in a certain way on ESPN, but it doesn't look like it. We got this.
What do you mean, like the order of like first, second, third?
Yeah, right. Because right now they have the Bengals right now at the top of the AFC North, and that's
because their division record.
Is it division record
yeah,
they go by?
so-
Yeah. Okay.
because Pittsburgh, when they beat Pittsburgh, Ravens and Cleveland haven't played division yet. So Cincinnati will get the tiebreak.
The Ravens are 3-1,
Yep.
and the Cleveland Browns are 3-1, all at the top of the division. Everything's clustered in there.
Yep.
I'm going to point out something about Pittsburgh because I'm not going to spend too much time on a team that I think is currently in free fall. But I do want to mention them for one thing. We talk about strength of schedule, and here with the Pittsburgh Steelers, their first 4 games, here are the quarterbacks that they've played. Josh Allen in Buffalo. Then the next week they played Derek Carr. The next week after that, they played Joe Burrow. And yesterday they played Aaron Rodgers. I look at that team and I think, that's arguably the toughest start to the schedule of any team in the AFC North. Really. It really is. I really believe that.
Yeah.
But all of their games are consistently, you can tell what the problems are. Big Ben I thought his arm was shot last year, but in all these wins, they muster 23 wins against the Bills, 17, 10, and 17 the rest of the way on. So yes, they've had a hard schedule, but this is a bad football team. Like I'm looking at what's their points allowed to points again? Okay, yeah. So 67 points they've scored, and they've allowed 93 points against. So the defense, we've allowed 1 less point. So I guess the defense is decent, but the offense is absolutely anemic. And I don't think it's going to get any better anytime soon.
Yeah.
I mean, what else is there to say about Pittsburgh? The next couple of games that they have coming up, they've got an injured Broncos team, but then they play the Seahawks at the Browns. I don't know. Could the Steelers go 1-5, 2-5, maybe?
I think
I
think they go 2-5.
2-5, yeah.
I think they beat Denver, then lose Seattle, and lose to the Browns. Yeah, I mean, there's not much you can do when your quarterback can't throw more than 10 yards down the field.
Yeah, it's a problem.
They might have to put Haskins in.
Yeah, they held, and that's not going to do any better. He'll just throw it to the other team.
Yeah, true.
But they've held on to Big Ben a year or two too long. Whereas the rest of the AFC North, look at our quarterbacks. We got rid of Flacco before people were thinking about it. Well, Browns, they just kind of figured out their quarterback situation, and Cincinnati got away from Dalton at the good time. So Pittsburgh just held on a little bit too long.
They did. Yeah, and it shows. They have a negative 26-point differential. They've lost the past 3 games. I mean,
I think
the era of Big Ben is over.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'm ready to call it.
Last year he did very well. They started off 11-0, but since then I think they've won 2 games.
Yeah.
So they're 2-7. So they
Their
did
defense
really, keeping Ben was smart last year, but after last year they should have dropped him.
Yeah. Their defense is still great and good, but they're off when your offense can't produce long sustainable drives because your quarterback can't throw the ball deep. They're going to be I'm ready to call that they're going to be last place in the North this year.
Well, and let me say something about the defense too. I don't think this is the same Steelers defense as defenses of old. They've allowed 93 points. They've allowed 1 less point than the New York Jets. Can you believe that? That is just and from a Steelers team, I know that they had an injury. They've had a couple key injuries. TJ Watt was hurt there for, I think was he out? I didn't watch the Steelers game.
He got hurt. He got hurt in the second game against who they played in week 2.
They played the Raiders.
Yeah. So he was out early in that game.
All right. So maybe he's still dealing with stuff. But I think the big thing is, they held on to Big Ben for too long. And he did a lot of contract circus maneuvers to just hang on for another year. I mean, it seemed like in the preseason, he was like, look, I'll do whatever it takes to stay as the starting quarterback. I'll restructure my contract. I'll do this. I'll do that. And that's the sign of a guy who is at the end of his career. He knows he's at the end of the rope, towards the end of his rope, and he's telling the team, look, you can get me for a discount. But the result is a 1-3 football team. My question is, do they tank from here on out and get a high-rated quarterback? Or do you believe in Dwayne Haskins?
They're Pittsburgh. I mean, Pittsburgh's a great organization. They won't do that. They're going to try to win. They're going to try to figure it out, and they're going to try. They're going to fight. Yeah, they're not going to pull a tank for whoever the top quarterback is. I don't think they'll do that.
No, bring in Cam Newton. He's still.
But you know what? You know what that'll do?
They could bring in Cam Newton. Yeah, that might be a thing.
For ESPN, though, you know that in a couple weeks, if they keep losing, ESPN's going to be all over that. Oh, Steelers are tanking. They want a quarterback to replace Big Ben. I'm calling it now. Dan Orlovsky is probably going to be talking about it at some point in the next couple of weeks. All right, that's enough about the Steelers. You know, there's not much more to say. So now we have three teams that are 3-1 in this division. Let's do an exercise, Brad. Being unbiased, I know this is a Ravens pod, but being completely unbiased, how do you rank the three teams that are sitting at 3-1 right now in the AFC North? Like, if you had to actually parse them out and make an opinion on these teams, which one do you see who's impressed you the most, or what order do you see the AFC North actually being between these three teams?
It's going to come down to the wire with us and the Browns, but I would have to say Browns, Ravens, Bengals, Steelers right now. Yeah. Browns could easily be 4-0 right now. Like I said, I bring it up all the time. The only reason they lost is for that one fumble on special teams to KC. Otherwise, they're 4-0, and they're legit 4-0. So, and they just beat, a great offense. They had a great offense to one touchdown yesterday. Against the Vikings, so they won 14-7 against them. Granted, the Bengals also beat them the first game round, but
the Vikings are terrible.
Yeah, but that is they have one of the best passing offenses in the league, and they only scored one touchdown to Jefferson yesterday.
Yeah,
not to mention
their defense is
they held up Cook really well too, and he is definitely top 5 running backs in the league. So
yeah, their defense is legit.
Yeah, but
the Browns defense,
yeah, hands down, Browns are number 1 in our division right now. And it just will, unfortunately, we won't be tested by them until the end of the season, and we play them.
I think that's fortunate.
Twice in 3 weeks.
Gives us a chance to get healthy.
So here's the upcoming.
Yeah, but I'd rather get one out the way.
Yeah. So here's the schedule upcoming for the Cleveland Browns. So next week, they have an afternoon game. They're at the Chargers. Then they're home for the Cardinals, home for the Broncos, and home for the Steelers. And then they go at the Bengals, at Patriots, right? So they have a stretch in here where they're really going to be tested. I think the Chargers are good. We're going to see them play tonight against the Raiders. So we can't really make a snap judgment on them totally yet. It depends on how that game goes. But I think the Chargers are really good. The Cardinals are obviously undefeated. And then the Broncos, if they have Teddy back and they get some of these guys back from injury, they're 3-1, regardless of what we think about them. So they have a tough road coming up. I don't know. Like, we'll see how they fare the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
If they beat the Chargers and the Cardinals, or even just one of those teams, I think you got to look at Cleveland and be like, all right, like we have to start prepping for these guys.
I think they will beat one of them. But if but if
Chargers.
Most likely the Chargers over the Cardinals, but if they beat both of them, like you're saying, that's going to be a big deal. And we play the Chargers as well, not this week, but the week after. So right after, so Chargers have to play the Browns and the Ravens back to back after. Yeah, they got a tough stretch too. But yeah, I'm with Brad with saying I'm going to say Ravens and Browns are top right now, tied at first place. Still yet to see. And then Cincinnati, then Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think the Cleveland, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh order is, you can't deny that the Browns, like you said, the Browns defense, they've only given up 67 points through the first 3 weeks, or 4 weeks, excuse me. that they have one of the best defenses in the league. Their offense has scored 100 points. I think that's a good metric.
Yeah,
By the end of the first quarter, if you're an offense that's able to score 100 points and hold teams to less than 100 points, I genuinely think that that's something that you can pretty much take to the bank, right? But like,
yeah.
I've got to say, our offense, we have the best offense in the division. We've scored 105 points. The next closest is Cleveland with 100, so it's not like there's this huge drop off there. I think our defense is worse on paper than it actually is when you watch a game. But I don't think that their defense is better than the Browns right now. There are too many injuries, and we have too many people out at important positions. So
I agree.
But I want to talk about the Bengals. So the Bengals are 3-1. Here's who they've played. They played the Vikings, who are terrible. I don't care what anybody says. I'm out of Kirk Cousins. The Bears, who are terrible. They have a rookie quarterback. The Steelers, who end up being terrible. And the Jaguars, who are terrible. They're sitting at 3-1, very similar to Denver going into this game, but 92 points for, 75 points allowed. They're not the worst team. I would say that they've gone from bad to, with Joe Burrow, average or
A little bit, yeah.
maybe above average.
A little bit, but yeah, I would say it's slightly above average with that
They
offense.
They got the Packers. Then they're at the Lions, who we barely squeaked out a win on that field. Then they play us. That's going to be a big game.
Yep.
So they've got a tough 3-game stretch, and we have an easy 3-game stretch. We have the next game we have are the Colts, who literally cannot stop the run. They're giving up 114 yards a game. Then we have the Chargers, which will be tough, but then we're home for that game, and then we're home for the Bengals and home for the Vikings.
We're home for the next 5 games, I believe.
Yeah, the whole month of October, we're basically at the Roost. So of all the teams that have an easier schedule to get there, I think the Ravens have the easiest schedule going forward for at least the next 3 or 4 games.
Yeah, the next quarter of the season. Yeah.
And the Steelers their schedule is going to get easier, but I'm out on Ben Roethlisberger. Okay, so we have Cleveland, Baltimore, Cincinnati, and Pittsburgh right now. And I think but we'll see. The next 4 games, like I said, let's see how the Browns get through the Chargers and the who's the other team we said? The Cardinals.
Yep.
Let's see how they get through those couple of weeks. Real quick.
We got an easier schedule.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Real quick, let's do the Indy game. So we're going to look at what the odds are right now. So far, the matchup predictor on ESPN, 67.4% in favor of Baltimore. It's Baltimore -7 right now is the spread. And the money line is -330. The over-under is 47. Chad, give me a prediction for this game for the score and explain why you feel that way.
Okay. Yeah, I would say looking at their stats now. I mean, I'm going to say we win. We're at home. It's prime time. I don't know what our stats are for home primetime games, but I know we win most of them.
Yeah.
They have a great rushing off. Jonathan Taylor blew up last week. And Dolphins defense isn't that bad. So they put up a lot of rush yards on them. Our rush defense has been pretty suspect the last couple weeks. But I don't think that's going to be that big of an issue because I don't know what it is about Carson Wentz, man. Like, he has the talent, I think, but he just can't, for whatever reason. It just seems like he has this bad luck thing going on where he either gets injured he's been playing on 2 sprained ankles the last 2 weeks. He never had, it's like he's never has a great protection. He's always like the highest sacked quarterback. And I think our defense coming off our 5-sack game can, maybe repeat that against this O-line. Because I believe Quentin Nelson is out for significant time.
Yeah, he is.
So I think this 5-sack game bleeds into this game. We have another 4+ sack game. Carson Wentz is gonna be running all over the place. He makes plays every once in a while. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember last year's Philly game where they almost came back and beat us with Carson Wentz. That was crazy. Like he was throwing like just crazy throws and completing them. But I think we win. We win 20. I would say we do 30. I think we're going to score a lot this game. 30 to 17.
Brad, what do you think?
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty close. I'd say actually I'd go with 32, 3 touchdowns, 3 field goals. But I don't see them scoring that much. I'd say probably 13 points because I mean, like Chad said, their offense isn't. They're just with Wentz isn't the best quarterback. I mean, he has comparable stats, surprisingly, to Lamar Jackson. Except for his giveaways, man. He only has 1 interception, 1 fumble. But we have 2 running backs that are, I mean, Jonathan Taylor is a great running back for the sole purpose of running, but then you got to worry about Hines, and you saw what happened with us in Detroit with the passing down back. So
yeah,
that makes me a little bit nervous with that. But their defense is pretty good. They got 8 takeaways already, and they have a touchdown this year. But they are allowing, like, I think it was Ben said 114 yards per game and 215 on passing. So we'll see what happens. But I'm definitely saying Ravens come off top. Let's go 30-13.
30-13. Okay, I got that. All right, for me, I don't think the Colts are very good.
Yeah.
And I think Carson Wentz is snake bit with injuries. At one point, he had 2 sprained ankles, which I don't know how you do that, but he had 2 sprained ankles, I think, a couple weeks ago. He's still dealing with one of his ankle sprains. I don't know. The 114 rush yards allowed, I think we're gonna run all over these guys. I just don't, and I don't trust Carson Wentz to throw himself out of a situation, especially with Quentin Nelson being hurt. I was gonna go 33-14 for the final score. I think the Ravens run all over them. Are we going to get Rashad Bateman and Miles Boykin back this week? Does anybody know?
It's possibility, but they said it could be the 5th week or 6th week. 6th week is the 21-day grace period that they have after taking them off so after you take them off IR, I think you have 21 days to throw them into your roster.
Yep.
So
they'd be back in time for the Chargers game, basically.
At least
they would have to guarantee be back for, I think, I want to say week 6. If not, it's week 7.
Yeah.
And another reason why I'm saying this is a high scoring game, Chad sort of alluded to it. It's prime time.
Yeah.
Monday Night Football in the Roost. There's no harder place to play. Well, there are a few places that are pretty hard to play, but on prime time Monday Night Football in Baltimore, the crowd's going to be rocking. The Colts are not very good. They don't score a whole lot of points.
Yeah.
We are increasing the amount of points we score per game, and we're holding defenses to less points, with the exception of, the weird Lions game. And I think with the Broncos, if we had just finished a couple of those touchdown drives, you're looking at a 33-7 maybe finale to that game. So I have the Ravens winning 33-14. That's my prediction for that.
I'll take that. Yeah. I'll say, we have a good another good running day tomorrow. Not tomorrow, next week. But hopefully we can get back. I mean, I don't think we're going to have back Stanley, but hopefully we get back Villanueva and have him with his sore knee. They said with Stanley, I think they're going to try and rehab him and sit him for another week or 2. So
yeah,
at least we'll have him hopefully down the stretch. And if we don't get Bateman back, maybe we get them all back at the same time, and then our offense should be pretty ridiculous, hopefully, at that point.
Moving right along.
Yeah.
All right. So that's it. That's all we've got for this week. Boys, it's great seeing you. Brad, Chad, as always, thank you for co-hosting with me. Thank you for all the listeners out there and the subscribers that we've gotten. We really appreciate your support. And
Absolutely.
we will catch you next week after the Ravens defeat the Colts, right? I think we're all pretty confident we can say that. But watch, next week they'll lose, and then I have to come on the pod and apologize to everybody. All right. So we'll see you all next week. Have a great rest of your day, and
Yep.
go Ravens. Caw-caw.
Yep. Good
Caw-caw.
stuff, boys. Call, guys. Peace.
All right.
Caw-caw.